The clearance of the peasantry and the conversion of the land to pasture in Britain laid the basis for the formation of industrial capitalism. Beginning in the 1400s, this process swelled the wealth of an advancing class of merchant capitalists and led to the creation of a vast class of dispossessed workers offering their labour on the market. In Foreland Part 1, we looked at these core processes. However, as Ian Angus points out in his 2023 book, The War Against the Commons, a less explored element was crucial: the banning of hunting among Britain's poor. The attempts of Britain's property classes to ban hunting by the poor predate the clearances, beginning with William the Conqueror's creation of royal forests, areas where only he and those he appointed were able to hunt, in the 1070s. By the 12th century, up to a third of England was covered by these laws, including whole counties in some instances. Following the suppression of the Peasants' Revolt of 1381, which had demanded access to food via hunting among its objectives, this process gained pace. In 1390, hunting was banned across all of England's territory for anyone without land or premises to the value of 40 shillings. Someone caught breaching this property clause could receive up to a year in prison. Hunting became the legal preserve of the rich. Despite this legislation, Britain's rural poor continued to hunt as a vital component of their subsistence. Convicting poachers was incredibly difficult, owing to the lack of any law enforcement in the countryside. The hunting ban was thus a dead letter, with most local authorities concluding that the expense of implementation was not worth the result. This remained the case until after the English Civil War of 1642 to 1651, which brought the capitalist class to power. In 1671, the bourgeoisie inaugurated a new era of game laws. Alongside further tightening property qualifications for hunting and raising fines, far-reaching powers including arrest, the search of homes without warrant, and the use of whatever force deemed necessary were granted to gamekeepers to enforce the law. These were private policemen, hired directly by landowners, prone to the abuse of power and corruption. Still, the rural poor continued to poach, prompting further escalation. In May 1723, Parliament passed what came to be known as the Black Act. This condemned those engaged in hunting to death, creating 350 new capital offences in a single stroke. Even being caught in disguise on an estate was punishable by hanging. This remained in force until 1823. Still, the poor continued to poach, more afraid of their stomachs than the noose. The game laws and rural depopulation served to eliminate hunting as a subsistence activity in Britain. Though bans were breached well into the 19th century, with pitched battles between poaching gangs and gamekeepers, by this point, the character of hunting had changed. Both gangs and individuals increasingly sold their catches on the market. This serves to underline the economic significance of the bans in severing Britain's working class from any source of subsistence other than the market. This made them dependent upon the sale of their labour, the core relation of industrial capitalism. Ecologically, the change in hunting's character was devastating. Not only did market dominance introduce a limitless motivation for the activity, the property clause rendered it a sport. For example, at a shooting party in 1823, 8 people killed 1,088 birds in a day. None were eaten. This sport has reshaped whole ecosystems, with, as Marx comments in the first volume of Capital, the north of Scotland turned to deer forests for the pleasure of Britain's elite. Far from preserving nature from overuse, a common refrain of those who think capitalist property amenable to natural restoration, hunting in Britain follows the core logic of capital in ecological terms, dispossessing humanity and destroying nature.